joined by the cast members and producers of Sangre Negra, an episodic series that they say is a telenovela that combines Dynasty with The Sopranos. Guys, it is so nice to see all of you.
Nice to see you.
Hello.
How you doing?
Our pleasure.
Are all of you in California?
Yes, ma'am.
Pretty much, yes.
Hands all in California?
All of us are except Knockout and Ingo in Riverside.
I think we still consider that California, but well, welcome. I'm in New Jersey, so through the magic of Zoom, I get to speak to you from across the nation. So thank you for joining me. And well, I'll begin by asking you, how have all of you been? Because this has been an interesting period, to say the least. So how have all of you been experiencing quarantine? Because right now, in fact, California is going through some changes. You went through quarantine, got out of quarantine, and now my understanding is that that's happening once again. Is that accurate?
Yes.
Yes.
We're a little worse off than we were when it originally started.
Tell me about your period in quarantine.
Who, me? Oh, I've been basically trying to get the second season of the show ready. Been trying to write some stuff. A lot of writing, a lot of tearing up pages and rewriting stuff again. That's been a lot of what I've been doing. Plus, I've also been revisiting some old TV shows and series and stuff like that. That's been pretty much it.
Oh, that's a lot. And so I'm curious, when the quarantine first ended, what was the one thing you couldn't wait to do that maybe even surprised you?
Go get my nails done.
Went to a restaurant.
Nails done for Inga.
I didn't hear him. What did he say?
What did you say, Danny?
First thing you'd want to do once quarantine was over?
Right? Oh, the first time it was
like one thing that you just couldn't wait.
I'd love to go back to the movies and see some of those classics on the big screen. That would be great. Not just the new ones that have come out, but hopefully, like a Lawrence of Arabia or, Aliens or something like that. Superhero film on the big screen with everybody. That would be great.
Anthony, you mentioned that part of what you've been doing during quarantine is actually working on the show. So for our viewers, I want to share with everyone the premise of the show. So I talked a little bit about it at the very beginning. So I saw it described as political struggles, volatile romances, Dynasty, meets Sopranos. I mean, you're quite the cast of characters.
Yes, we are.
So,
yes, we are.
We have co-executive producers, Ina and Kareem. Share with me about the show itself, and what were some of the ideas for those behind the scenes in terms of putting this show together? And for those that may not have had the pleasure of seeing it, a lot of the main cast members happen to be Latino. So I'm curious, was that done intentionally because you wanted to show Latinos in playing strong characters in roles that are impacting society, whether that's in a good way or bad way? And I say that just because of the characters and what they do in the show. Inga and Kareem, as executive producers, any thoughts or that you want to share with our viewers? Just about
well, that question could be answered really better by Antonio McKay, because a lot of the writing and stuff was already in place when we came along to the project.
So, and Anthony, share with us,
what
you've been working on, and what were the thoughts behind the show itself?
Okay, you pretty much hit the nail on the head. We wanted to show Latino, not just Latinos, pretty much all minorities, because if you watch the show, it's very diverse. We have pretty much every ethnicity on the planet in the show, but they're playing people. They're not playing any specific, like for instance, the Latinos are in various positions. Some are cops, some are criminals, some are doctors, some are nurses, some are waiters. It's just like real life. And it's the same thing with any of the black characters on the show, Asian characters on the show. So we just I wanted to create a character as part of a family, but they're basically three brothers. And two of the brothers are what they call the law-abiding brothers, I call them. And the other one is not. That's it in a nutshell. And Danny plays the younger brother, and I played the oldest brother, and then Ricardo was the middle brother.
Interview.
But you can guess who the bad one is.
There is,
Yes, it was me.
and also the fact adding to what Tony's saying also, it's also shining a light on groups that normally serve a purpose of token characters. Because
Right.
a lot of times when you have the blacks, the Latinos, the Asians, or Europeans, they're token characters. They're
Right.
not the main characters. So what Tony has created here is a vision very similar to Fast and Furious, which is the most successful, movie, basically line there has been in the past 30 years. The latest one makes more money than the previous one, which never has happened. Whenever you have a movie that has 1, 2, 3 parts, it tapers down. This movie has been going up, and the reason is because unlike the rest of the movies that they have one single character or two, and it's normally the Caucasian characters and a token around them, we're using the same technique of 7 or multiple lead characters, where they all are equally important. They all have like storylines that may or may not intertwine with each other. So that creates not only a different light on the so-called token characters, in which they're used like a secondary one. We're all primary here, basically. The entire lead cast has the same equal importance. And that is utilizing the same formula that has made so popular Fast and Furious, to see if we have the same success on TV, basically.
Well, thank you, because you set it up perfectly. I want to go through all the different characters that we have here. So,
Sure.
forgive me. We were talking off camera, and I said I'm accustomed to saying certain names in Spanish. So I said Ricardo, but Ricardo.
Ricardo's good.
The eldest Santos. So you're the eldest brother. You're an attorney, if I'm not mistaken.
No, I'm the middle brother. I'm the middle brother. You see, that's why we say that it's kind of a combination of Dallas and The Sopranos, because in Dallas you have the battle between the good and evil.
You're the middle brother?
And that's what creates the whole scenario. See, in this case, we have the evil, which is the eldest character, played by Antonio McKay.
I thought Tony
And
was
he's the evil guy, basically. Then you have Captain America, the younger guy, who is played by Danny. So I'm the middle balance of the evil and the angel in the family, basically. That's what we're trying to do here.
Good way of saying it. Good way of saying it. Yeah, it's
Was that always like this?
Go ahead, Danny.
I was just asking, has it always been that he was the middle brother?
No, it hasn't always been that way. But it was changed about 2 episodes in. You gotta keep up, Danny. No, it's okay. About 2 episodes in.
Again, wait.
There's going to be in season 2 a history of how all 3 brothers got together.
You played the illegitimate son.
Yes.
And you're the bad boy, of the brothers.
Mm-hmm.
So is it fun playing the bad boy? I would think
It's so much fun.
in what sense?
That's probably his
So
favorite
much
question.
fun because you're free to do anything you want to do, and basically I can say what I want to say, do what I want to say, and nobody can say, "Hey, that's not right."
I play Detective Christian Santos. I'm the youngest brother to these two here, Tony and Ricardo. I honestly thought Tony was the middle brother for the longest time, so revelation today. What I really like about the show, besides the family that we've established after so many years being together and the friendships that we've made, initially when I was approached about this show was there weren't enough Latinx, Latino, people of color shows out there that showed us in a positive light. despite the fact that there are bad guys and whatever, they're also good people that are playing lawyers and doctors and senators. And I thought that was great because you don't see that. Usually people of color are usually designated to supporting roles or quote unquote stereotypical role. And here we are, playing the lead character, great characters. So that's what really kind of intrigued me about being a part of this, and then seeing the growth, and also understanding that, like my character, for example, he really believes in what he's doing. He's a fighter. He believes in law and justice. Yet he's a human being, and he trips up as the season goes on, and he stumbles and falls, and bad things happen. And hopefully an audience will see that and go along on this journey and hopefully see that he will come back, or maybe not. I mean, it's very real life, something that you don't really see often when it comes to people of color shows, which is what we have. Very diverse cast, and a great cast, by the way, very talented.
Danny, something
Danny
shared with me.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mabel. Go ahead.
No, well, Danny had something lovely to say about all of you. He shared with me that this was a show where he felt like a family had developed because of the time that he spent with all of you. So I'm curious, is it like regular families where you're borrowing lunch money because you don't like what craft services has? You're sharing secrets with each other, running errands. You don't have time to go to the cleaners. So Stoney's getting the, cleaning, picking up Danny's cleaning. I mean, is it that type of family relationship?
We know a few secrets about each other, but I don't think anybody's any dry cleaning.
It's not that intertwined.
We do invite each other to a lot of events. Like if we have, like before quarantine, if there was a lot of great things to go to, we'd call each other up and do that. But we all live in such different sections and areas and stuff. But when we can, we hang out.
I'm curious, all of you have such a diverse background. So not only are you actors, but many of you are writers, producers. When that occurred, well, my first question is that a natural tendency for actors to want to go behind the scene? And once you do you come back as an actor differently because of the skills that you've now explored?
I will answer that one. I've been in this business for about, 4 decades? And I would think that most actors have aspirations of becoming directors, producers, writers. If you're smart, that's what you want to do. And that's what most of us have done and are doing now. So, yeah, you're right about that, people. We do have aspirations of being writers, directors, producers, and pretty much anything else. If you are well-versed,
sound going out, Stoney.
everything in production can help your career a lot in many different ways, especially when it comes to money. Because, a lot of times actors try out, so they move into doing something else. Or producers, sometimes careers dry up and they move into doing something else. So this business gives you a lot of opportunities because it's so
that's cool.
wide in different professional aspects of what you can do as far as being in a film crew or TV crew. So there's a lot of avenues for us to go into and explore and being in this industry.
Tony, you mentioned you've had a lengthy, successful career. When I read some of your credits, it was quite impressive, including, if I'm not, it's funny that of everything you've done, the one that struck something with me because my dad used to watch it, Trapper John M.D.
Well, that was me.
Oh,
that
was
me.
Antonio?
You did too? Both of us did. Yeah, both he and I did.
Yeah, I read that and I was like, Trapper John M.D. I remember my dad loved that show.
Hey, I was on MASH.
Yes.
Okay?
You were on MASH?
Yes.
I was on MASH. I did Quincy. I go way back.
He was only 2.
My team.
He was only 2 years old.
Yeah, I wish I was.
There's so much for Antonio that I read that you appeared in an episode of The Jeffersons.
I was on the Jeffersons.
Yeah, he was funny.
You see, Tony's nickname is really Dorian Gray. He's really 150 years old,
I got
those depends.
but she
Really,
fell
for
off the
me,
chair.
Knock them over with laughter.
What happened there?
Stoney. Hey, Stoney.
all that stuff. Yeah.
Were you on MASH when they had Henry Blake as the Colonel, or was it Potter?
Potter.
Oh, we're Potter. Okay.
Yeah, I actually did that episode with Rita Wilson, Tom
Really?
Hanks' wife.
I gotta check that back out. My dad used to watch. He used to tape those shows, and I watched it with him back in the '80s. That and Columbo. Like my dad was like wanting me to like his shows, and I got into it, and I watched MASH all the time and Columbo. So that's cool. And the Jeffersons.
That's
awesome.
The first movie that I did was in '78 called Roller Boogie. And then I got a television
with Linda Blair?
White Shadow, which was in '79.
Wow.
Yeah. I go way back.
Way
back.
That's awesome.
I'm curious, when you've had such an illustrious career, how do you pick roles now? Are you more particular? And why did you pick the role that you have in Sangre Negra?
Well, let me say something. Let me say something about the word illustrious. Sounds really nice, and I appreciate it. Thank you. But most actors don't really ever have the ability to choose anything that they do. For most of our careers, we actually go out and audition for parts all the time. There are, obviously what they call A-list, which at that point when you get there, and I've been there in certain parts of my career, but when you become that, then you start getting offers to you for different roles. So that being said, I've actually turned down things that I just didn't like or thought would fit me. And that goes from money that was offered to the type of character that was offered. So there's certain things that I will not do as an actor in this industry. So yeah, there are things that I will turn down and not do. But it hadn't been much.
So tell them how you got this.
Antonio, asking you the same question. I mean, you've played numerous roles as well.
Well,
you as you're getting older, as you have more experience in this industry, are there specific roles that you simply won't do? Are there things that you can't wait to do that you just haven't had the opportunity to do yet?
Well, I found that as the years go by, can you hear me better now?
He won't play a man. God.
As years go on, we're just ignoring him. As years go on, there was a point in my career where I would like to tell the story. I decided that the usual auditioning process was not for me. I actually got a role on a TV show called Jake in Progress with John Stamos, and I was going to be a regular on the show. And then the night before we were supposed to start shooting, I got called in by the network, and they said, "We really like you, and everybody likes you on the show, but you seem to be a little bit distracting from John. So we're going to recast it with a less how do we say, attractive person, and make him the sidekick. So basically, we're going to pay you, but you ain't going to be on the show." And that happened to me the night before we were supposed to start shooting. And then another time, soon after that, I auditioned for Twilight, the movie, and it was supposedly between me and two other fellows who I know, and I figured if I didn't get it, one of the other two did. I talked to them, and they didn't get it either. When we saw the movie on the screen, somebody totally different. In other words, the role, we have no control. If you have no control over what you do, then you really have no power. And being in this industry, getting older with no power, you don't want to be 75 years old auditioning. It's just not. It's not a part of what I want to do.
That's what started you writing.
That's what started me writing.
That's why people write and direct and get into it. That's exactly why.
Yeah, that's basically what started me writing and going into production. establishing, writing our own stuff, and that's the best way to do it.
Speaking of writing your own stuff, Danny, I know that you wrote your own stuff with a particular project that I don't know if your fellow colleagues, your family has seen, but Bite.
Yeah, well, my family here they've been supportive because I've had films come out and they've gone to my premieres. I've seen you guys come to like Last Smile, and whenever there was a screening, you've been there, which has been great. But yeah, I wrote and directed my first short film a couple years back, and it's won 10 awards already. But like Stoney said very eloquently, you can't, as an actor, just continue to just act. And then you're 75 and you're still hoping you get a gig, and then you don't get a gig because you're not tall enough or you're not short enough or whatever. I mean, I once lost out a gig for like the lead in a TV show. It would have changed my life. I would have been a very, very, very wealthy man working all the time, and I didn't get it because they said I didn't look Latino enough. Everything else about it was great. The audition was great. It had 7 callbacks. Everything. You don't look Latino enough was their final prognosis, and they went in. It was, I'm like with Tony. That's why I write my own stuff. I'm writing scripts. I'm producing projects now that I put myself in, because that's the power of being a producer. You can do what you want like that.
Okay.
So for our viewers who've been watching, I bypassed actually introducing all of you because I've been doing some research on you for the last 24 hours, so I feel like I know all of you and I'm part of your family. But let's properly introduce everyone. So I'm going to go from my left, going horizontally. I have Dana and Kareem Madison, and you're executive producers for Sangre Negra, correct?
Yes. Correct, yes.
Danny Arroyo, who plays Christian Santos, the youngest of the Santos family brothers.
Yes.
I have below me, or I'm not quite sure, it's like Brady Bunch. I don't know where you appear, but I have Antonio, and forgive me that I got too comfortable and I was calling you Anthony.
That's
so
okay.
Antonio McKay and Stony Knockout Jackson. Stony Jackson.
No, Knuckles.
Knuckles.
Kareem. I'm Stony Knuckles Jackson.
And of course, Ricardo Herranz in Spanish or Herranz in English.
Either or, it all works. It's all good.
So Ricardo, in fact, like perfect segue. You were born in Venezuela.
Correct.
So our families are neighbors. My family's from Colombia.
Oh.
So when I read that, and you started out your career with RCTV?
Correct.
And then you moved to Mexico. So your career began in Latin America. What was that transition like into the United States?
Well, I worked for several years in Venezuela. And Venezuela at that time was a superpower of soap operas. 75% of the international market was controlled by Venezuela at that time. And it was very connected in Italy, in Spain, in the European market. So I went to work in Europe. I went to work in Spain. I went to work in Italy for a while. Then after that, I had an offer in Mexico to work for Televisa, which is their biggest network and the second largest in the world. It's just a gigantic thing. And I was there for almost 3 years working with them. And being there, I knew people who was involved in the Lee Strasberg acting school, actor studio, where all the big guys have prepared themselves. Dustin Hoffman, Robert De Niro, Marlon Brando. Everybody has gone to that school of that generation. So I thought it would be an interesting, way of basically entering the U.S. market to do it through a very well-known school. So I came as a student with the Lee Strasberg Actor Studio, and they actually did all the paperwork for me to be able to stay here as a full-time student, being there 8 hours a day for a full year. And after that, I basically got a gig. I got tough-heartedly into SAG by the gig that I got, and I pretty much just stayed in the U.S. and kept working. And it's been very nice. I cannot complain.
Can you tell me a little bit more about your career and the things, because you've worked as producers on other shows. So what led up to Sangre Negra?
Well, what actually led up to it was Stony. Stony introduced us to this project, and once that happened, I met up with the director, and actually I met up with Tony and Stony. We all met up together, and I felt it was a real great project to be a part of.
And both of you, did you work in the industry? And that, because you're a married couple, so for our viewers, the executive producers are also married. Did you meet in the industry, and how were you collaborating with each other?
No, we didn't meet in the industry.
Tony is actually my brother.
Yeah.
The plot thickens.
Tony and I have been really close friends for a long time.
He was
A long time.
Best man at my first wedding.
Yeah, at his first wedding.
My first wedding.
And Tony and Frank, our producer and director of the show, is also another mutual friend of me and Tony. And they came to me with this when they first started it, and asked me to become a part of it and act in it as well, because I've also done a couple of other movies with Tony that he wrote and produced years ago. So I was like, of course. He always knows he can come to me and ask me pretty much anything, help him out with anything, and I'll do it, and vice versa. So that's how I became a part of the project, because of Tony and Frank. And then as we went on, I became a producer myself on the show, and so I started looking for other avenues and other executive producers to come on board. So first thing I thought of was my brother-in-law, who I'm pretty close with, and my sister. So they came in, looked at it, saw what it was about, and what we needed them for, and they were more than happy and willing to come on board. So in the last couple of years, they've both learned quite a lot about this business. And I always tell them, I take my hats off to them for becoming the sponges that they are at learning every aspect of how a production's run.
So your fans, all of your fans, what can they expect for the upcoming future of Sangre Negra? I know there have been talks about it being aired in different places.
Yes, we're actually going to be on El Rey Network. And during this quarantine, we actually been working around the clock. So there's been a lot of work been going on every day. One of the directors is not here today because he's actually working around the clock on the show. His name is Frank Pinnock. So we plan on being airing this fall. So we're going to have a full season coming out this fall for the world to see. I'm excited about it because it's been a long process, and we've been putting in a lot of work to get it to this point. And I know the actors, and they can't wait for it to come out as well.
So this is news for me too. Like, so officially the fall for sure for
Yes, we don't have a set date. We were actually working on that as well, but it'll be out this fall.
Wow. Just on El Rey or anywhere else at all? Or
we're working on that too, but that's some information I can't give at this time. You know what I'm saying? I don't like giving nothing to the facts is on point, but it's going to be a good fall. Just know that.
And fall is like 3 months away. Like I keep thinking we're in like February or something.
Exactly. We've been working the whole time. I know we ain't been really putting out there, but we've been grinding, man.
Wow.
We've been grinding.
Yeah, the finishing touches.
I'm gonna tell you this: expect some amazing stuff. This stuff is amazing. It's gonna blow you guys' socks off.
I think I just got an exclusive.
I got it all flush.
Well, actually, perfect segue. Thank you so much, Danny. While you get unflushed, we're going to take a quick water break, and we'll be right back with some of the cast members and producers of Sangre Negra.